Right, welcome back this week to, is it called Chatting Shit about?
Well, that was very popular on Twitter. Chatting shit about athletics did seem to be like the number one choice. We might change it, but for now, we're stuck with that, aren't we?
It's a work in progress, I think. It's definitely work in progress. Okay, first straight into it. European Cup this weekend, and we talked about it last week. That bad?
It was so boring.
Why?
Never ending.
Why?
Number one, it's spread over 2 days, which has always been spread over 2 days, but they just longed it out. Massive gaps where we just go back to Gabby in the studio chatting on and on and on.
And we do understand, and there's always this complaint about the BBC and not showing what we want to see. We understand it's not their pictures, you know, and it was quite clear. Often they would go to something and it didn't come, and we all understand all of that. No real complaints about going back to the studio necessarily this week.
Yep.
It was more the fact the whole thing was way too long.
Because that two-heat thing doesn't work at all. From the first race, when you've got a minus 3.8 wind and then a minus 1 wind, obviously that's nonsense. We don't send a proper team, so it's very difficult to root for people because we know that they're not the best we could.
And we know it's not going to make much difference. We're predicted to come fifth and we came fifth.
There were some good performances though, like better than normal.
And also, I feel like I need to kind of not apologise, but Jared Dunn ran really well. And last week I was like, oh, he won't replicate the time he'd done in Switzerland, because you know that every year there's strange times that happen and don't get replicated. He did on the big stage, so that was very, very impressive. The other thing that I was very disappointed about was the women's relay.
Right.
Now, I mean, poor Laura Maddox got thrown right in the deep
what
end.
happened with that? Like, what actually happened? Like,
we had Asha, we had Dina, we had Bianca, we had Louise Bloor, and Margaret was supposed to be on the team as well. Now, I know she'd just done a 400 metres, and Asha was injured, but how can we not have anybody to replace? Why not put a hurdler in? Why
it was
not
a 400 metre run on the last leg, just to be clear what it was.
Why not put a jump? I mean, it was a very strange
thing to do.
I mean, you've got to give her a lot of props because she went out there and did it.
Stepped up.
Having said that, I always think it's quite easy to criticise team decisions. We're not there. We don't know what happened. We don't know who refused. We don't know who supposed to didn't come.
My point is, people shouldn't be refusing.
No, they shouldn't.
And back in the day at the European Cup, when we could have gone for the win, it felt as a much more team spirit, because that shouldn't be happening at this level. It shouldn't put her in a really difficult position. It was never going to go right. And she tried her best, so good. I mean, well done to her.
It was the under-20s and under-23 championships this weekend, and hopefully we've got Scott from Vinco to do a little bit of a summary of the championships.
Well, someone needs to, because I couldn't find the results.
Hi guys, Scott here with a roundup of all the action from last weekend's England under-20 and under-23 championships in Bedford. Starting off with the under-20 men's 100 metres, it was Ojeda Boran who took victory and confirmed his place on the plane to next month's European Junior Championships with a time of 10.33 seconds in wet and windy conditions. In the under-20 women's sprints, it was Shannon and Charisse Hilton who took victory in the 200 and 400 metres. Charisse claiming a new championship best performance of 53.54 seconds, bettering the time she set in 2014. And perhaps the race of the weekend, the under-23 men's 110 metre hurdles, it was David Omarage who took victory in 13.62 seconds, just nicking it on the line by 100 from Plymouth's David King.
Okay, anything interesting happened on Twitter this week, guys? At all?
Well, Richard Kilty is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
And what's Richard done?
Let's just call people prostitutes.
Oh, really?
Let's put it in some kind of context. We've got 5 new people who are now qualified to compete for Great Britain.
Yeah.
They've got a British passport, they compete for Great Britain. I totally understand why it might upset some athletes, who I get that, but tough, to be honest.
But the problem is the complaint is with the Home Office, not with the individuals who are coming over. You know, they're just following the rules, aren't they?
At Home Office.
Yeah. So Richard Kilty made a tweet about Zarnell Hughes, who's coming over to run the 200, saying he shouldn't be running for Britain, basically. We're paraphrasing here. Someone else just said underneath,
a fan, or was it a
fan? Member of the public, Paul, that he was quite happy.
Yeah.
To which we had a brilliant, tremendous rant.
You're a prostitute. You're something cockroach.
We'll put it all up. You'll see it.
Louise, Swift Girl, who is
at Swift Girl, is it?
At Swift Girl, underscore Swift Girl,
2 underscores,
who is a friend of ours, a big athletics fan, and is very knowledgeable in athletics. She said Do you feel the same way about Charlotte Proctor, who also obviously comes from Antigua? It's exactly the same.
Who's already on the team.
Yeah. She got called Queen of the Prostitutes.
And by Richard himself.
Yeah, and then we understand there was a Kilty meeting at UK Athletics.
And this came about via a tweet you've seen, or inside knowledge?
Well, the thing is, they've all been deleted, but obviously people have screen grabbed them, so it was all there for everybody.
So you think he said these tweets have been called in by UK Athletics to discuss this particular incident, or is it something else?
Well, that was the implication, and now he's injured.
So he's injured
and out for the trials.
Coincidentally, timing with this incident. Okay. Yeah.
I think people need to be very careful what they say on social media. What you say to your mate is just to your mate. What you say on social media, it gets seen by millions of people. And athletes, whether they like it or not, are some kind of role models.
They're representing your country. Even when you're not actually in your team best, you are representing your country. So when you speak out, you can be controversial. No one's got a problem with people being controversial or holding controversial views. You have a problem being downright rude to members of the public. There's a different ball game.
I was going to say, I don't condone what he said to people, but I kind of respect that he does say what he's thinking.
Well, that's fine, but there's going to be repercussions. Yeah. And he's got form as well. And I'm not going to say what he said to someone last time who said, "Who's Richard Kilty?" And it was all references to his mother and sexual acts and gold medals dangling on. Anyway, that's all to be found if you look at it on the internet as well. So I think you've got to be really careful, and you must expect repercussions because, as Bayo was saying, you're representing your country, and if you want to represent your country, you've got to be very careful about what you say.
Especially when you're talking about something which is to do with the team, which is to do with athletics. If you want to, be rude about your friends or something, that's none of our business. But when you start making it personal, which he was about people who are coming into the team, you can expect people to.
And people he potentially will be running on relays with, is going to be in teams with in the future.
And more than anything else, you need to get your facts right. He didn't know what he was talking about, So just if in doubt, shut the fuck up.
That's what we touched on, the Alberto Salazar story. He's come out and he's written a
12,000 word piece.
12,000 words. I'm not too sure who's counting the words himself.
Someone with more time to spare than I have. I started to read it. I scanned through it. I got bored.
Well, actually, I know someone who has read it, not once but twice, which is Swift Girl. And hopefully she'll maybe be able to tell us a bit more about that.
Hey guys, this is Swift Girl, and this is my 60-second slander-free summation of the Salazar statement. The majority of the statement is concerned with the fact that Salazar believes that the coach, athletes and other personnel involved were either misunderstood or misinformed about what was going on, or that they're deliberately lying in an attempt to make him look bad. Obviously the statement's very long, so I'm going to pick out the 3 key points that stuck with me. The first one was that Alberto asked USADA to test Galen Rupp on a certain day to see if a certain substance had left his body. If it had left his body, they were going to allow him to race at the weekend. Obviously USADA said that this is against protocol and they couldn't do it. The second one is the issue of the pills being placed in the book and sent to Birmingham. Apparently Galen Rupp found this quite funny and commented that it was quite Shawshank-like. The third one is the situation in which Galen Rupp realised that his shoulders were being rubbed by Justin Gatlin's ex-masseuse, and therefore Salazar asked his own son to test testosterone cream to see how much would have to be rubbed on in order to produce a positive test. I think that these 3 points kind of create more questions than they actually answer. I also thought it was funny that he signs off the letter by saying haters gonna hate. People may remember that that's quite similar to what Mo Farah said to Andy Vernon during their Twitter spat. So obviously the Nike Oregon Project are pretty big fans of Taylor Swift.
Also,
I won't be reading that.
No.
To be honest, it all feels a bit like overkill.
Yep. Well, do you think he's trying to put his case forward? Like, he hasn't got the BBC to make a documentary about his side of the story.
He has got millions of lawyers paid for by Nike, I would bet.
It would have those things, yeah. I know we mentioned before about the 5 British athletes that are transferred to Britain. Is that how we're calling it?
Transferred because they've taken up the thing they wanted to.
Okay, so the names of them was the American Cindy Philly, BBC, thank you.
Which is obviously Tiffany's sister. Yeah. So that was always going to happen.
Okay. Yep. And then we've got Chantal Little.
I don't know anything about her.
She's a 400-metre hurdler. There you go.
Something.
Perfect. And then we've also got Montel Spate, the 400 runner.
52.2.
There we go, on the ball with the facts. And then we've got a Swedish-born high jumper, Victoria Dronsfield.
188. I don't know anything about her.
No, I don't know what her circumstances are.
I know she trains with Isabel Pauly, who was very happy to have her join. And then Zarnell Hughes, who we talked about before, and he's almost a different situation because he's from Anguilla, the same as Charlotte Proctor. Yep. So he's a British overseas territory, which means he automatically has a British passport.
Okay.
The same as someone like Mark Cavendish in cycling, who's from the Isle of Man.
Yep.
There's no comment on that because he's from the Isle of Man.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So if you're from the Falklands Islands, I think Malta, lots of places, because Britain has a colonial past, there's lots of places that Britain once owned, and there's still repercussions from that. So people born in those places are British, essentially.
So this is definitely a good thing, though, because this guy's just run Usain Bolt close over 200 metres.
Well,
so
I think it's a good thing. Some of the sprinters might not think it's a good thing.
Because they won't get the relay teams.
And that's totally understandable.
Okay.
But it's not a question for British athletics, like the Daily Mail would like to make it out to be. It's a question for the Home Office.
Yeah.
People have a British passport.
Yeah.
They can compete for Britain. I mean, that's the end of the story. Really.
This weekend we have the American Championships, the USA Champs, the Jamaican Champs, and we have the BMC at Watford.
That was in order of importance.
No, for me, it's the BMC at Watford, the US Champs, then Jamaican Champs in terms of importance on my radio. I think I've got a little start list here. Well, not a start list because BMC tend to release them quite late in the day. I don't know if that's for late entries, that kind of thing, or just because admin reasons. But we have some good entries in the BMC this time, which is it's good to see. So in the 800 metres, got Gareth Warburton, a 1:44 runner. We all know him from his returning from his minor ban. We've got Theo Blundell, up and coming 800 metre athlete, really good runner. I think he'll be a threat in that race to Gareth Warburton if he's back in shape. We've also got Carl Langford, who's up and coming athlete, done well in the 20s. And I think Dale Clutterbug, who's coached by Matt Yates now, and he's kind of a threat. He's around 1:48 and he won the last BMC at Manchester, I think it was. So that's going to be a good race, I think. Also, we have, in the women's side of things, Laura Waitman. She's back in action. Good to see her back in action again. And Adele Tracy and Hannah England.
Right. Oh, Hannah's back.
Yeah, so...
They've actually, people who want to go to the Worlds have got to get 2 qualifiers now, haven't they?
Yeah.
And they're cutting it really fine. There's lots of people, certainly within the middle distances, who haven't got those 2 yet. So it's a good job they've run in place.
Well, I think that's kind of why, and also, on the flip side, the men's 1500 metres, that's why you've got Charlie Garais, Ross Murray and Jake Whiteman, the 3 top guys at the moment in time, all running the BMC on Sunday. I think they've got a pacemaker going to 1200 metres.
Right. Well, see, the thing is with BMC, it's great for times.
Yeah.
But I think our athletes, especially, have to learn how to race as well.
Okay,
so you've got to get the times,
Yeah.
but this is going to be a totally different kind of race at the trials.
Yeah.
And once they've got the times, it's going to be a bit open about who actually qualifies.
It's up in the air, that event. And in the women's 1500 metres, we have Steph Twell. She's back in action. Also, Jessica Judd.
Good.
So Steph Twell and Jessica Judd racing in that. So I know we spoke to Jessica Judd at the race of the weekend at the Birmingham Diamond League, and she was kind of happy to be getting back into it.
Yeah, the thing is with Jess, I mean, she's so good and she's so young and she's so excitable. And then last year, it all felt like she had the weight of the world on her shoulders.
Yeah.
And we're just like, listen, you're doing great. Just enjoy yourself, because I think especially when you're young, you have good years, you have bad years, and you have to wait to kind of... And she moved coach. Yeah. There's a lot of other stuff going on. So I hope she's just back and happy and running and enjoying herself.
She's young enough that we don't really have expectations on her yet.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, it's the USA trials.
Yeah.
And it's Jamaican trials. Anything you want to talk about in those 2 events that stand out?
I think we'll talk about the US trials next week when we know what's happened.
Okay,
but I
cool.
think the interesting thing this weekend is, firstly, obviously, the form of Usain Bolt. He's only doing the 100,
right? Okay.
So presumably he'll get obviously selected for the 200, I'm sure. But he's only doing the 100 this weekend.
Yep.
And the return of Johan Blake, who has run a 10:20 or something this year.
Right.
But obviously hasn't been himself for 3 years now.
He's racing the 100.
I don't know what Johan Blake's doing.
Okay, right,
I'm not sure.
But also, it's interesting to see. Obviously, Asifa is head and shoulders the best Jamaican this year.
Yeah.
But Asifa in a championship environment, I mean, who knows? He could come fifth.
Yeah.
So, and in the women's, Elaine Thompson has come out of nowhere this year to take on Shelly-Ann and BCB. So
Shelly-Ann's the fastest in the world, but she's had a few dodgy races as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I know this. Stop it. Action.